Our next presenter is Chad, our next inductee is Chad Erikson, and presenting him to the Hall of Fame is Mr. Jim Jackson.
Good evening. I'd like to first of all congratulate all the inductees. It's quite an honor for everybody. I'd also like to thank the Hall of Fame committee that put on a special event like this. It's incredible. A lot of people get recognized, and it's great for Minnesota wrestling. I've had the privilege to coach a lot of athletes over the years, over 39 years of coaching. And I met Chad when he was a youngster youth wrestler in Apple Valley. And Chad was very special at that time, and I can tell you that in 39 years of coaching, he's the most tenacious, relentless physical wrestler that we've ever had in Apple Valley. And he took that on to the University of Minnesota. And Chad and I used to work out a little bit, but that happened right after his, I think it was 9th grade year. That was actually 106-pound event. So then after that, he kicked our butts pretty good. Chad was a 4th place finisher as an 8th grader, but more than his accomplishments, what I like to say what his family did. His sister was, Shannon was a manager. His mom and dad took care of things behind the scenes with the Booster Club. And there was Chad taking our program from Appalachia to the next level. And Chad was one of the first persons that we had that trained year round. And that kind of changed the mindset or the culture at Apple Valley when he did that. And that kind of took our program next. One time we had one guy who was training year round, then we had 2, then we had 3, then we had 4. And that made a big difference in our program. So the impact he had on our program is and that was when there's 2 classes to win 4 state titles and 2 classes. That's quite a feat. And so I just want to say that he ended up with 99 falls, which I kind of tells you his mentality is he wanted to pin everybody. And Chad really never liked any of his opponents at all. So, and I like that attitude about him. Also, from that situation, you know, by getting our program to the next level, and after he was done with his collegiate career at the University of Minnesota, then he contacted me about starting a wrestling school, and he wanted to use a facility, and I said, absolutely, you can get this going. And right now, I don't know how long he's been in business, but it's been quite a while. And and now he's got Minnesota League, and he's giving back to our youth programs, giving back to our kids in Minnesota, making Minnesota the best wrestling state in the country. And I think Chad had a lot to do with it. And I just, it's been an honor and privilege to know his family, to know him. And we're very fortunate. I'd like to just say congratulations to his family, because it is a family affair. There's no doubt it's a family affair to anybody that has something special like this happen. So Chad, congratulations, and I'm just really proud that I had the opportunity to coach you. Thanks.
Going through this process has been a very humbling honor. It's given me the opportunity to reflect back on a long journey. I guess I should start off by giving a little background of the type of kid I was growing up, and why wrestling was a good fit for me. I think everyone has knowledge of a kid like this, but long story short, I was a kid in school with ants in his pants. I couldn't sit still, I had endless amounts of energy, and I could remember counting down the hours and minutes until my favorite subject, which was recess. Long story short, like I said, nationally wrestling was a good fit for me. I tried every sport that you could, and there's a good reason why my parents pushed me to be involved in it. There are many things that I'm proud of in my wrestling journey, but after reflecting back, 3 things really stick out. The first thing I'm proud of is I was fortunate to have success as a team at every level of my career. I was around coaches that preached a team-first mentality. While I am proud of my individual accomplishments, battling with my buddies and seeing all of their hard work pay off was always more satisfying to me than getting my own champions. In high school, I had the opportunity to participate in 5 team state championship finals, and we won 3 of those. In college, we brought home a trophy every year and won national titles my last 2 years. This may seem odd, but I enjoy explaining to people that I was the worst wrestler on the team my junior year of college. When I let them know that I was an All-American that year, I always get the confused look. There's a strong chance that that no other team will ever crown 10 All-Americans in a single year again. I can remember Coach Robinson telling us that this is something that you'll take with you for the rest of your life. I didn't think much of it at the time, but now 20 years later, it is a feeling that will never be replicated, and still gives me chills thinking about it. I wish I had the time to speak of all my coaches that I've been around, but their credentials speak for themselves. My high school coaches were Jim Jackson and Bill Demery, both in the Hall of Fame. My college coaches were Mark Schwab, Joe Russell, Marty Morgan, and Jay Robinson, also all in the Hall of Fame. It was easy for me to have success while competing under these legends of the sport. I know every ounce of success to them and what they stood for. The last group of people that I'd like to speak about, and the people that I'm most proud of, is my family. My parents have always preached giving back, and this is a big reason why I'm still involved in the sport today. The thing I'm most grateful for and proud to say is that each one of my family members have had their hand in wrestling, and I can never thank them enough for that. My brother-in-law said it best when he mentioned a couple weeks ago that all of us had our own job in wrestling. To start, my mother, who is the sweetest lady alive, and an angel to have put up with myself and my father, if you know him, spent her weekends being a parent, filling out bracket sheets. My sister, as already stated, was a wrestling manager for Apple Valley High School, and then continued on with in college while she attended the St. Benedict's and helped out with St. John's wrestling program. Last but not least, the man my college teammates used to call and continue to call Scotty Too Hottie. If you do not know who he is, I'm sure he will introduce himself to you at some point in time tonight because he is social and he is definitely in his element and always likes to make new wrestling friends. The thing I think that separates him over anyone else in my life is he had the worst job of all of us. He spent the last 30 years being a referee, and I always wondered why he wanted to do it. There's always someone mad at you, and regardless of the outcome of the match or the do-me. I guess to conclude the speech, I'll end with a brief statement that he told a friend of ours that eventually got back to me that explains our family's commitment to the sport of wrestling. This is something that I'll bring with me for as long as I am involved with the sport, and I'm very proud of. When someone asked him why he was still reffing, this was a couple years ago, he said, "I love this sport and I feel obligated to give back to the sport that has given my family and I so much." I thought this is pretty neat. I know that I can never repay the sport for everything that it's given me, but while I am still able, I plan to get as close as I possibly can. Thank you.